I sure as hell learned a lot.
All right, brother. Now let's continue on. Introduce our guest there, brother.
All right, hold on.
So sorry. That was my bad. I got the time wrong. We're all over the place.
Well, you're here now. We have some time. So
how late are we? Are we only 15 minutes late?
Yes.
Okay.
So we still have some time.
Don't worry, pop in.
Yeah, don't worry. You still have time. So this is Anna Rose Lee Epstein and Vitoria Herring of True Social Equity in Cannabis and We the People, the podcast. So True Social Equity in Cannabis's mission is a diverse economic engine that provides financial resources.
Oh, you don't have to read all that. That's still a work in progress. That was for
all right. Then you know what? Since we all let's go right to it. All right. Tell us a little bit about the organization. And I think both me and Lou always want to know what is, true social equity, because I don't think, this is my opinion, we've seen it yet in any state that's really legalized cannabis. I don't think we've seen any true social equity yet. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about it. What do you believe true social equity is, and how can we achieve it?
So True Social Equity in Cannabis started because my wife and 3 other badass Black women in Chicago applied for a social equity license. It came out, and we're all legacy. It came out that 21 groups would be receiving the 75 dispensary licenses, and we were fucking pissed and started protesting. And I started a page, True Social Equity in Cannabis, to call out the BS surrounding the people that the government had chosen to be social equity. And then throughout Anna Rose Epstein is the name. Throughout that, I met Vitoria through the protesting, et cetera, et cetera. She might be.
She's here.
And so, so Vi and I have been fighting. We are anti-corporation. We do not take money from corporations. We don't fuck with them in any way because they're just liars. They will lie to your face, or they'll tell you exactly what you want to hear and then and then do whatever the hell they want. So
yeah, just wanted to remind you, we are on FM radio.
Sorry.
So you gotta watch that. I hope we didn't get in trouble for that already. But yeah,
Sorry.
We are one of the lucky people that does get to be broadcast on FM radio. But
thank you, FM radio.
The way I'm understanding it is there were 75 licenses supposedly to be assigned, and only 21 people. So they were giving out triple licenses to the same people. The same people, instead of just getting 1 license each and giving them to 75 people, they gave them the 21 people, and they gave them 3 or maybe 2, and then some people 5 or 4. But they divided those 75 licenses up amongst 21 people. And that's what I'm understanding.
Well, I mean, that was...
Or not people, but...
It's so much more complicated than that,
But that's the beginning gist of it. Because obviously we have to get into who those people ended up being. And were they social equity applicants in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Because that always comes into question.
Right. And Vi, you should introduce yourself and say, like, where you're coming from, too.
Yeah, please do. Vi. There you go.
Hi, guys. I'm Vitoria Herring. And as Anna Rose was saying, we met really in the movement of cannabis that was happening in Illinois, because the process with it was just not transparent. You could tell from the very beginning that they were botching it up based on the spirit of the law. It was a lot more in-depth than just having 21 people that had perfect score. It's really what we're talking about that ended up, quote unquote, being able to receive a license. The law allowed for people to even apply for 10 licenses at a time. Unfortunately, there were corporations that were coming into our state that understood how to work around the law. I guess you could say they were creative in their efforts. Because then they had shell companies that they were utilizing, and instead of 10 applications, they would have 30 or 50 applications. So it really didn't leave the odds in the favor of, the mom and pop and the people that were actually a part of the social equity community that were affected by the war on drugs. I actually was an applicant as well and decided not to apply at the last minute because I was being backdoored by a large company, Verano, that had me on 30 licenses and diluted my equity, which is also illegal. But these are things that, were displayed in our contract, our operating agreements. And so then along the line, just going through the process and being really disgusted that our communities are being left out still, yet again, it's enough that we've been the most oppressed in this country, let alone to be left out of a process that you were trying to say was for the benefit of growing our communities and for the wrongs that were established. And so, Anna Rose and I met, and she was filming a lot of footage for the documentary that she was making. Along the way, just like-minded individuals decided to come together and really try to make change.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get a little background on Illinois. Now, you guys did have a medical program before you were legalized, correct? So there was already corporate presence in Illinois while the laws for legalization were being passed. So we had the same problem in Connecticut. Therefore, those corporate entities that were already in place through the medical use their influence in not only probably in the creation of the law, but in the implementation of the law as well, correct?
Yes, 100%. And
I would say a little bit of both.
Yeah,
actually.
both.
And they didn't only... And within the law, they received an additional license per however many licenses they already have to sell. So if they already had 5 licenses for a dispensary, they had 5 more licenses when rec happened. Just
automatically
included.
Right, and that just got passed through in the bill because they've been putting in the work. They've been supplying. They deserve a piece of the. I agree, they deserve a piece of it, but they don't deserve the whole pie.
They don't deserve anything. They do not deserve anything, and especially with how they have treated us social equity people. Yeah. They have torn the wound from the war on drugs and made a whole other new one for a social equity war and claim that it's to help people. And it's not to help people, it's to help their pockets. And the only reason why they're getting away with it, unfortunately, is because there's a whole bunch of people that are so young to the point where they've never known what it was to have a illegal scenario. So
and not even that, it's also because unfortunately a lot of the people within the community really feel like and hold to the spirit of the law that is going to make generational wealth. Unfortunately, that generational wealth has yet to be trickled down to the very communities that it has impacted.
And it's been promised for years. It's been promised for years. I mean, cannabis to me was the one chance, the one new industry, the one industry that
obviously... It's not an industry, it's a plant.
The plant, you're right.
For commerce. For small businesses. And that's what it should be. That's what it always should have been. That's what it was. That's what it currently still is. And the sham that it's an industry and all these new products that they're making, pushing it out, saying that vapes are good for you and that we don't know long-term effects on vapes. And yet they're like pushing all these products. And I mean, there's so many organizations that are like this group Sam that I don't agree with.
Oh my God, never mind.
They have a point as far as the
commercialization. I gotta tell you,
and also the potency of the product nowadays, like is way more extreme in the sense that the products that they're putting out, they think that people want the highest THC level, which is not true. And they're pushing the propaganda to make people think that simultaneously while they think it. And it's because they don't know what they're doing. And they just care about the money. That's why I'm saying, Joe, that they have no place in this and they need to get the fuck out. Sorry, they need to get out of this I keep telling everyone who has stock in the cannabis industry to get out, because ultimately I know you probably love cannabis and you think it's the right thing for you. My wife is telling me to calm down.
Yeah, well, because the thing about it
you got
this,
weed, take a hit.
The thing about it is this: they call it an industry because it's more than medicine. It is also medicine, but it is also a plant that can sustain an entire economy.
Right.
It is a renewable natural resource that also helps with medicine in order to heal. And so that's why it's an industry, because it is an industry of industries. There's multiple different areas and ways that you could come about it. Unfortunately, on the other side of that coin, it's called an industry because of the capitalistic corruption that has occurred within it, and for just a money gain. And it hasn't been diversified in a way that number one helps heal, as Anna was saying, the effects of the war on drugs to the people that
what
were
I'm
damaged,
talking about.
Right. In addition to provide a landscape for other people in order to make the world a better place.
That's what I'm talking about. When
we're talking about
coming from the 70s,
right?
I mean, we're talking since the 70s, this war on drugs has been raging, and it has affected so many people.
Earlier than that, because it also was a part of slavery. So
absolutely,
even beyond that, this country was founded on making sure, that they profit off oppression.
I agree. I mean, that's how they made it illegal, right?
So Joe, you asked me earlier what my definition of true social equity is.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Yeah, it's changed a lot because that's one of the questions that I ask the people that I interview. So I want to know your answer as well. But right now, my definition of true social equity would be the ability for legacy to legal to transition into their current the current operations that they have transition into a legal market. So they're still operating the way that their current business operates. They can keep their clients, they can keep whatever sources that they're able to obtain, and it's legal. They just pay some tax.
And I'll add to that is free from restrictions and incarceration, so that we're able to have a business and an enterprise just like any other business or enterprise that a person could think of. And those effects of that income trickles back down to the most divested communities so that those can be risen as well, from education to medical care and all the way down to our politics, to our trash, to our police who don't police us. They actually brutalize us. And it's a larger conversation, but to add on to what she was saying, that's real, true social equity.
Yeah, the taxes should not be going to these BS nonprofits that are supposedly giving back to the people who have been affected by the war on drugs. Like, it's all front. And half of those.
And not a smoke and mirrors way.
Right, and half of the organizations are run like underground by these nonprofits. So Joe and other guests, I would love to know what y'all's definition of true social equity in cannabis is. And I'm seeing in Connecticut a lot of people working with these MSOs. I personally disagree with that, but we've also seen that a lot in Illinois, and we've seen those people really not be advocates for what I think true social equity is. They have different definitions. So love to hear y'all's thoughts.
All right, so my definition of true social equity, okay, it has a couple different levels to it, but my definition for true social equity is what my definition for the world is, and that means we all have a level playing field. We're all equal no matter where we come from, and especially those who have been harmed need to be the first in line to be taken care of again.
Period.
Right. So, and when I say many different levels, I mean on all levels of what we would call the industry. So that means legacy. I'm a proponent of letting it be farmers markets style. Do you know what I mean? with
Yep.
anybody who can participate. If you have to license it, but allow those licenses and make sure the money and the tax money goes right back into the community. And I think on the next level of the bigger dispensaries and all that, those have to be owned by people who live in that community, just like the corner store is, just like the guy in the liquor store who you know because his family lives on your block, you know? It's that kind of equity I'm talking about, where everybody can be included and it's all the same cost. It's the same cost for anyone. If you look at how a liquor license is structured, it's
don't compare it to that. Don't compare
well,
it.
if you have to deal, I would hope you'd never have to deal with the state, but if you have to make the licenses, probably a little
every
less.
business has to deal with the state, and so we keep talking about a license.
Look,
I think that's the first thing that we should remove is just a license. Period.
I agree.
Or have it be more like a massage license. Like I'm a massage therapist.
That's what I mean.
$240 for every 2
I'm a grower. I'm a small grower. It costs me $100, $150 a year, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
You're right. That's what I'm talking about. And those are the people who could go to the farmers markets and sell, you know?
But there also has to be a lane for the healers, because there are the growers and there are the healers, and they're both legacy and both important. I mean, there are also like the transport people, the people.
Well, I believe that's a great way to incorporate the current medical marijuana industry, which of course could take a hit, you know, and you don't want it to take a hit.
Oh no, we want it to take a hit. We want their stocks to go down.
But I don't want to see the doctors not have work anymore. And I don't
Doctors will have plenty of work. There are sick people out there. Doctors will always have work. That's why they became doctors.
No, I mean,
don't be afraid of the doctors. Like,
okay, and you would like to even see the medical industry go?
No, there shouldn't be a recreational industry. But there should.
Yeah, she misheard you, and so that's.
Okay.
There shouldn't be a. Sorry, Vi. Do you want to touch on this? Because I'm angry, obviously.
Because I think it's important. Don't be angry at me.
I'm angry in general, Joe.
I'm trying to understand what's going on out there, because obviously Connecticut has its own issues. So by hearing what I hear about Illinois, I can kind of learn you're a little bit ahead of us. I can kind of learn what is already starting to come in Connecticut, because we're a little bit behind.
We were actually hosting weekly Sunday meetings for 2 hours for like 6 months, where we would allow whoever wanted to come into the Zoom to have a conversation, so that we could help spread the word on what was happening with the monopolization of corporate cannabis and how it's a world health and safety issue. And we actually had Lewis and Christina and Duncan. I mean, we've had and I like respect them so much, and the work that they do, they all do very different things, and it's all really important, you know. I'm come from theater too, so I'm a big proponent of collaboration. However, I've found in the last 3 years that trying to collaborate with people that want to work with the devil and take blood money is not really something I can do anymore. I don't have the same values as them, and I just have to let that go. I just have to be like, all right, I'm not trying anymore with you. Sorry. Right.
No, I understand. So we only got a few more minutes. I want to talk real quick about Weed the People. Now,
So Weed the People is an organization that we actually saw that was necessary to have, because when you just look at the injustices that are currently happening, it's only getting worse. The restrictions are coming even more so. And so we decided, in order to create a political action committee, in order to take out the old thought leaders, the old leadership in the political space, because they are just not doing any service for us. They are doing a disservice, and really support those who support freeing the people and freeing the plant within the medicinal industry and the medicinal culture.
Right.
Because as we see, we can't do anything about the industry. The industry is there so that big pharma can come in and create big cannabis. And that's what we're watching, and that's what we're seeing.
Well, I'm
And
afraid Big
that's like
Pharma's
stopping
going to
Walmart.
make big medicine too. I mean, I'm really afraid like the medicinal part is going to get in their hands as well. You know,
That's
and I
why
think
education is
people
really
aren't even
important.
looking at that. Me and Lou were just
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah.
That Big Pharma, especially hemp, all those
Yes,
cannabinoids
yes.
you can pull from hemp, you know, and they can pull mumbo jumbo within the federal laws to make it go their way. And I think people need to keep their eye, especially on this federal law that they're
Yes.
trying to pass. There's some sneaky stuff in there as well.
Always
that should
is.
not
It's a
pass.
replica
That should not pass.
of these states.
Yeah, and
On a
that's
larger
kind
It's
of
more
what,
than it's more than keeping an eye, Joe. I'm sorry. It's more than keeping an eye. It's
Right.
making
active.
those people be held accountable, and also calling it out. So Joe, I have to do that for you. I'm sorry. Like I haven't been able to speak to your co-host, but I saw your episode where talking about the controversy in Connecticut, and I guess like your two co-hosts are, from my understanding, connected to multi-state operators. They were basically their social equity person on applications, right? And I heard they didn't win licenses. Sorry about that, y'all. But like,
yeah, I really don't like to discuss that on air, but I discuss it in private with them. Personally, okay, I have no intention of ever pairing up with an MSO. I do believe that they're not going to go away, unless, you know, the laws radically change. So it's almost like a situation where you have to coexist, and that's what you have to fight for, is it? But I know you don't agree with that, and I would love to see you succeed in your quest, because I don't know if you've seen any states that have come close to true social equity in their laws, but I'm almost thinking, and this just came to me while I'm talking to you, that a state without any medical, without anything, is a better place to start from scratch and try and get in there from the beginning and have them see the light. Almost like Vermont, kind of, we know what kind of Vermont is, but they started out very slow with just making it legal and home grow only, just to see how that worked. And then now their retail industry is strictly restricted to Vermont residents only. So they're trying to keep the MSOs out from the start.
And I'm sure that their incarceration rate in Vermont for people.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, it's not a state.
Still very high.
Not a,
So I don't know if they're getting it right either.
But I think the
all
mechanics
of the
of it.
coming online, those MSOs are seeing that, and they're going and lobbying. They are ahead of us in that way, because they have the money from the legal.
Well, that's what you're fighting, is money, and I get it. You know, look, we went through the same battle just to get it legal in Connecticut. We thought the opponents of legalization were our opponents, but our real biggest opponents were the lobbyists for the corporate.
Which is the corporations. So you
Cannabis.
cannot work with
They had
corporations.
7 lobbyists. Seven lobbyists to our none. We had no money.
And this is not just happening within the social.
That's why people also have to
medical
use their
too.
voice.
Yeah.
People have to use their voice, because the power really is in the people. And you have to get active in any way that you can to make sure that you don't leave it up to the lobbyists. We are the lobbyists. The lobbyists is
Right,
you.
we have to be the
And
lobbyists.
you. You know
We
what
have
I'm
to be.
saying? But we have to find unity on what it is that means, so that we can actually go against the federal, policies that are trying to be.
That's going to be the real fight. You know.
I mean, the real fight is saying, look, marginalized people, you can't just take the crumbs anymore. You have to actually fight for true social equity, not social equity. That's
Right.
the real fight too. Like, they're dividing us. They've made this into a race war again. They've made it into.
Yeah, they made the society into that. But
No,
listen,
they didn't make it into a race war. That's what the world and society and the system and our government has done.
yeah, well,
And
yeah, exactly.
unfortunately,
Now
as
it's just
long as
coming
they're
to a head.
utilizing any law that is about the war on drugs, when you look at it, especially in our incarceration system, we are the most people that have been incarcerated. So unfortunately, it's not that they just made it. It always comes down to that, especially in this issue.
All right, I'm getting this sign that we have to get off the air. Give us how we get in touch with you real
Thank you
quick.
for having us on the show.
Thank you, guys. I heard you're coming to Connecticut soon, so we'll be looking for you. And just tell us real quick how to get in touch with you.
We're most active on True Social Equity and Cannabis on Instagram, and then we have like a link on there, but we're also on YouTube, and we have some like 5-minute and 17-minute clips from the very start of social equity in Illinois. And you can find us on other things.
Well, good. Hey, keep up the good fight. I really commend you for what you're doing out there. You're putting it to the corporate entities, and you're putting it to the government. And, we need more people like you. So thank you very much for coming on. Okay.
Thank you. So we'd love to talk to your other cohorts at some point as well.
Well, if you do come to Connecticut, you'll probably run into them at an event or something.
Okay. We tend to not go to corporate events.
No, they don't either. They go to the underground events. That's where they get their weed. Anyway, you think they buy it at the corporate? I'll talk to you later.
Bye.